Trying to get things set up here. Shalom, 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 family. It's good to see you guys. I'm trying to see if I can add a link in to my description before I actually put my full description in. Okay. Oh. Let me silence me for right now there. Shalom, shalom, family. It's good to see you guys. I'm going to try not to be too long. I say that all the time. I'll try my best. Let's put it that way. I'll try my best not to be too long. How are you guys doing? Look at Jack Jones. Shalom, shalom, my beloved brother. It's good to see you. Well, I'm back on it, family. I found some more information and I felt like, you know what, I need to come out here and share it with you guys. So say a prayer over your sister as I speak with you guys today. Say a prayer over me and a prayer over the family, that those will have ears to hear and eyes to see what is going on in these last days. Oh, wow. I don't even know where to begin. It's good to see all of you. I'm not going to take the time to go through and shout you all out. You know, I love each and every one of you. I'm still playing with this setup of using my cell phone to actually videotape, but I'm reading from my desktop. So I'm sitting at my desk and I'm doing this. So I've got so much work to do, family. I really shouldn't be taking the time to do this, but I have to. I've got so much planned. And I hope that you guys, before we get into today's message, I want to say, I hope and pray that you guys have been continuously prepping and planning for what is to come, that you have been taking note of the prices in the grocery stores, the supermarkets, and you are planning, planning around those pricings and getting the things that you need to get stocked up. I pray that that's what you guys are doing. And my canners out there, I hope that you're doing what my plans are, and that is, I plan on doing a whole bunch of canning, a whole bunch more. I've done some canning before, and I usually do it on a regular basis, but I plan on doing a lot more in the near future. I'm going to be like our sister Grammy, yeah, because that's what she's been canning up a storm. Bless her heart. She has been canning up a storm. And that is the smart thing to do right now, especially if you don't have freezer space. If you don't have space to store meats and things like that in your freezer, pressure canning is the way to go. Water bath canning is not so much for your meats and your beans and things like that, but you can still water bath can your foods, jams and jams, jellies, and pickles, and there are other things that you can do with the water bath canner. So if you haven't started canning, you need to start, okay? So I'm putting that out there for you because family, things are getting dire. Not to put fear in you, just to get you to be aware and to get you to plan. I don't want any of you to fear, but you need to know what's going on. The enemy has a plan and you're involved, okay? You need to know what's going on. I want to share with you, I put it in the description already of this video. The video is entitled The Enemy's Plan, the Black Death. And I did that because I didn't want to put specific words out there so that YouTube might look at it, and I don't want any strikes. I don't want anything bad to happen to the channel because I think we're still needed for now. Okay, I think we're still needed for now. So anyhow, let me do this. I want to, let me see if I can put this link also. I don't know if it'll be a actual link if I put it in the chat, what will happen. Okay, so this is of a video, and I don't even want to put the name of the video on here because it could cause problems. So I won't put the name of the video out there, okay? I'll just share it with you guys. I'm going to share it right there. It's in the link, it's in the chat. When you get time, go out and really, really listen to this guy. I'm going to play some of what he has to say. And I want you to really, really listen, okay? Because what this man is doing, and he, I believe, is a pastor, and I'm not sure if someone may have sent this to me, and if you did, and I'm not giving you credit for it, please forgive me. I have so much stuff that's going on right now. I don't mean to um, not respect you. It's just that I don't remember if that's where I got it from or if I stumbled upon it. If you did send it to me, thank you so very much. Myself and the family thanks you for sending it to me. I don't know if that's what happened, but if you did, you know who you are. If not, I stumbled across it. And it is of a pastor, and he's not preaching or anything like that, but he's telling you about the plan. And I'm calling it the plan. He's not. I'm calling it the plan. So pretty much what he is doing is he is discussing something that I discussed with you guys beforehand. Do you remember before CV-19 hit? There was word and there were actual videos of a, what would you call it? Simulation of a type of plague like that occurring, and what the powers that are in uh, high places, what they would do under certain circumstances. If you know what I'm talking about and you remember seeing some of those videos that came out early on before CV-19, put a yes in the chat. You know, they did these exercises, if you will. Had a whole bunch of people get together at round table, if you will, and what uh, they discussed the plague. They discussed how they would go about dealing with it, some of the issues that they may encounter, all of that. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. She is, oh, McMoney, my mom is she's well. She's well. Thank you for asking, and thank you all for your prayers. But anyway, so you guys are saying yes. You're saying yes. Okay, okay, you're saying yes. So that's good because I don't want to get too caught up into the chat today because I want to do this, get the information out, and I want you guys to go and watch the full entirety of this video so that you can kind of see what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. So anyhow, so this pastor is talking not about the previous um, exercise. Okay. He is talking about one to come. Okay. Um, should I say one to come? I don't want to say it's an exercise to come because I think they've already done the exercise. It's a new plague. Okay. A new plague. So it's the next one, if you know what I mean. Okay. And he goes on to explain that they have an agenda that's different than the previous agenda. I say it's different, yes, but you know what? The enemy always plays on some of the same tactics. Um, and even with CV-19, he used some of the same tactics, but it didn't, I don't think it went as planned. It didn't go as deep as I think that they wanted it to go. Because we have some inquiring Gentiles that had some big questions during this time frame. But not only that, we had a whole bunch of folks in a certain nation that said, we don't trust the system. We don't trust those in power. We don't trust those in the scientific medical, and when I say scientific, I mean I'm putting them together, scientific medical field, too much when it comes to our people. If you know what I mean, tell me you know what I mean. Okay. um the Tuskegee experiment, I'm just going to throw one out there. Okay, do you know what I mean? So there were certain people who said, we're not going to participate in your program. Okay. And a lot of us did not, even though they kept throwing out at us that we were number one on the list of deaths and those that were um, coming down with the plague, sickness. You know what I'm trying to say, right? That was the narrative that they were feeding, trying to feed us. They went to the ministers in the local churches and tried to persuade them, and many of them did, to get their people, you know what I'm talking about, to participate in this program. Many still did not. Okay. There's always a group, a remnant of people that will do it. And they did do it this time around. But a good portion of the people said, no, not buying it. When have you ever done anything to benefit our health? If you look at our statistics, we are the worst when it comes to women going into the hospitals to have babies. The death rate for women who look like me is very high. It's higher than all others. Okay. Um, and I can go on with a list of issues that we have in the health arena for how people who look like me are treated. Okay. Um, there is no equality when it comes to that. That's something that we know. It is a fact. They have statistics to prove it. And so when they were rolling out the program, many of us said, no, thank you. Many of us said, no, thank you, and didn't go for it. And that was a problem because I believe there was a plan, and I don't think that the plan worked out exactly like they wanted it to. So they're on to plan B. Okay. So because they're on to plan B. Well, before we get to plan B, let's talk about plan A again. And let's talk about some of our Gentile family members spoke up when they were targeting, because it was a target, when they were targeting people who look like me. Some of our Gentile brothers and sisters stepped up and said, why are you making it about race? Do you guys remember that? Say yes in the chat if you can remember that many Gentile folks stood up and said, why are you making it about race? Especially when we came to the point where they wanted to say that they had a fix. Okay. Let's start with a certain group to give the fix. Let's go to a certain continent to give the fix, because we think that they're going to have an influx and a need for it, because they're going to have an influx of folks that are going to come down with this. And so we need to get ready, and we need to first go to a certain continent to give the fix. And then they also were at the same time trying to do this fix for a certain race of people. They kept saying we need to go to this certain race. Okay, so That was part of plan A. It didn't go as they expected it. One of the reasons I think that it didn't go as they expected to go is because they were trying to do it here. Um, and then I'll get to the continent. Thank goodness that the Most High must have put it into. I'll go to the continent, to some of the leaders that weren't so greedy to just take money in exchange for this so-called fix. They said, no, let us handle it. Let us handle it. And many of them did just that. And I don't know if you know this, but look at the numbers. They didn't get hit nearly as hard as this country got hit. Okay, nearly as hard with the issue. Okay, so they did the right thing by saying no, thank you. The American folks that look like me who chose not to take the fix didn't cooperate like we were expected to. You know, and I'll tell you, I had a what do they call it? A wellness check a couple of days ago, and I'm doing well. I'm not on any prescription meds. I'm in my 60s, and I'm doing well. I'm overweight. I'm working on it, but other than that, I'm in pretty good health. Okay, I am at a point right now where I am really, really ready to consider seeking out a new physician. Why? Because ever since this whole thing has been going on, my physician has been hell bent on seeing me get the fix. So I had my wellness check a couple of days ago. And what do you think were the first things out of his mouth when I'm sitting in the office with him? One of the first things out of his mouth it was to ask me, have you had the fix yet? I said, no. Have you had the flu shot? And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with what we're here to do today? You know? So then the third question was, are you anti-vaccine? And I said the word, oh dear. Anyhow, I said, no, I'm not. So then he goes on to say, well, and then there's another one that we want to get you introduced to, and it's for shingles. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, if it's not one thing, it's something else, right? So, well, I guess he must have seen my face because at this point, I haven't said anything. So at this point, he's like, well, let me explain a little bit to you why you would need it and da 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 da. And he goes through the whole spiel. And then he sees my face and he finally says, well, just think about it. Just think about it. I'm to the point where I'm not happy going to him. If that's what you're going to try to do, I don't want to see you, you know. Uh, he's one of those that it sounds like to me when you say no, no doesn't mean no. Let me see if I can convince you because you know I know more than you do. So let me see if I can convince you. No means no. Okay, you guys don't have enough data on these things. Okay, I'm not going to go down that because that's not where I was headed with this video, but it concerns that. Okay, so that's the agenda. Okay, that's the agenda to push this. I am seeing headlines that are saying that those that are fully fixed are having more issues, including death, in higher numbers than those who have not had the fix. So why are you still trying to convince the population to take this fix? It makes absolutely no sense. You have an agenda. That's what it is. You have an agenda and you think we're too stupid to see it. But see, you have an agenda, but you know what we have? We have the Most High. So you go on with your agenda, and we're going to go ahead and cling to the Most High. And boy, oh boy, is he opening up our eyes. He's telling us what's going on. He's showing us the enemy's plan. And so let you listen to a little bit of what this man has to say. I'm going to see if I can. I don't know which way I should take it. Maybe I should use it here. I'm gonna put him on. I think I might have him on my tablet. Of course not. It would have been too easy. All right, I got to put the sound up on him.
When it comes to the World Economic Forum and
okay, stop. All right. Let me know if you can hear him okay? So his it says Pastor Brian Gibson. I put the link in the chat. I'll put it in there again. So when you have time, please go over and look at this video. But we're headed down that same old rabbit hole all over again, family. It's a mess. It's a mess. But we have the Most High. We have the Most High to lean on. But listen to this guy, okay?
A lot of these groups that hold these games, they keep holding these, preparations for these pandemics, and then suddenly a pandemic hits, and suddenly it seems to be basically exactly what they prepared for and what they said was going to happen. It's, again, not saying they're going to do anything with this.
Are you guys able to hear him clearly? Let me know. Can you hear him okay? Good. All right. So again, he's talking about the simulation, the exercise, all right? Like they did before, they've done another one, or they just listen to him.
But it's important to pay attention when they do talk about this, because either there's some weird planning involved, or they're just like living oracles and they predict the future. The next pandemic they're talking about is interesting because the way they're talking about it is more on the policy level, I should note, and less so of the germ game type and more so of what they're planning to do in terms of what they prioritize. And this.
Now, I hope you heard that. They're not focused so much in on the germ of this issue, but it's more of a political or other issues that they're tying into this plague. Actually have absolutely nothing to do with it, but they're tying it in as though it's part of the important part of this. But just listen to what he has to say. It's
no longer just about, this is no longer just about health. This is about race. This is about seemingly eugenics to some extent. I'll get into it. I'll explain it. I'll show you some videos. Interesting episode lined up today. Also, folks, the new narrative is in. If you do not get a vaccine, I'm afraid that you may, in fact, be a terrorist. There's also now what they call anti-science extremists. And so...
Did you hear that? Anti-scientist extremists. Terrorist. If you don't play the game. I want you guys to really pay attention. It's important that we have eyes to see and ears to hear, because we are getting these warnings ahead of time so that we can be prepared for what they're planning on doing, okay?
You may be a terrorist or anti-science extremist if you do not get a vaccine. And you actually also are apparently at higher risk of getting car accidents because you're more likely to break the law. And they have, I'm not even joking, scientific reports out on this. And the important part with this as well is this is the way the narrative is being framed. This is the way they're creating new labels to define people who decide they don't want to believe everything that comes out in the evening news or something like that. Important stuff. And folks, also, we're going to have Brian Gibson on today, pastor, to talk about the Respect for Marriage Act and what that actually means.
Okay. Sorry about that. This guy, I don't know what his name is. I thought it was Pastor Brian Gibson. He is not Brian Gibson. My bad. That's not him. He's going to have him come on later on. He's not part of this videotape, though, although he's talking about it. And that is the Respect for Marriage Act. That's a whole nother video. But he's not going to do that in this particular video. I want you to pay more attention about the plague and the program that they have set up for that. And that's what this guy's going to talk about. I'm not really sure what this guy's, oh, wait, his name, I believe, this time I might have it right. It's Joshua Phillip. Joshua Phillip. That's what's on this video. So let's hope that that's what this guy's name is. I enjoyed listening to him, and I thought it was very informative, and it was so informative. And I thought for such a time as now that you guys needed to hear this too.
Religious liberty. All right, that said, interesting episode lined up today. Thank you all so much for being here.
I'm going to see if I can go ahead.
Folks, those of you on YouTube, an episode lined up today for them. And this is what they say. This is, again, recently from Davos 2022 to Davos 2023. The 6 themes that have set the agenda now. Now, of course, I'm not going to go over their whole agenda, but there's one part in particular I want to talk about, which is theme number 4. And theme number 4 states, preparing for the next pandemic requires ending health disparities.
Let me stop there. Health disparities. The devil always introduces you to the truth when he's going to introduce the lies. Okay? He always mixes the truth in with the lies. I believe it's something that he has to do. Okay? But that's how he operates. He always puts a little bit of the truth in with his lies. Excuse me. That being said, this man is talking about the health disparities, or whatever you want to call it, disparities. And that pretty much is one of the things that I opened this video up talking about, was how there is no equality when it comes to health care for minorities. Again, I mentioned the death rate for women during childbirth for Black women is very high. One of the reasons that is the case is because when a Black woman complains of issues of after birth, or even not even during the birth process, just to go into the hospital or to the doctor's office with an illness or sickness, something that's going wrong in their body. We recognize when there's something that's not quite right. We go in, we talk with the doctors about it. Unfortunately, the doctors themselves have admitted it, that they don't see Black women as they see other women. And I'm just talking about Black women. I'm not talking about Black children. I'm not talking about men. This is just the tip of the iceberg that I'm talking about. But they don't see Black women as feeling pain as a white woman or a Hispanic woman or an Asian woman. They don't see us and don't believe that we feel pain as any other woman or person would feel pain. And that is a fact. The doctors, there have been doctors that have stepped up and said we need to do better. They recognize this, but it's still a fact. It's still something that goes on. So there are health disparities when it comes to equality for all. There is no equality for all. It just doesn't exist. But That just goes to show you that when the scripture tells us that there are signs to look for when we are trying to evaluate who is Israel, who are the children of Israel. When you look at the inequality, when you look at how certain people are treated, you look at how the Bible says that they would be on the bottom of everything, that they would be the tail and not the head. And you look at the breadcrumbs that the Most High has laid out so that we can identify who the children of Israel are. Then you kind of look at some of the patterns that the enemy, the devil, and those that are in power have laid out against the children of Israel. You can see clearly the plan that they have in place, and you can see clearly why they target certain people. It all lines up. Okay, it all lines up. So the differences are really there. They are true. So the devil is going to use that truism and try to use it as a tool against us. Just listen up.
What does that mean? So they're looking now at basically framing pandemics is basically not just viruses, not just monkeypox or SARS-CoV-2, but instead actual like systemic racism and things like this. They're framing it as more of an illness on the body politic, the Volk, as the Germans might have said. Let me explain what they're doing with this. Further, it states, COVID-19 has been a hot topic during every annual meeting since January 2020 when the virus emerged. And thanks to the vaccines, attendees were able to return to Davos, again, World Economic Forum, more than 2 years later. However, the pandemic looks quite different in many low-income countries, where just 13% of people are vaccinated, compared to 75% of people in high-income countries. Now, they're talking mainly about Africa, and this is a bit of a strange narrative because those of you watching the virus, numbers and stuff like that, you may notice something very interesting, which is Africa has hardly had like COVID deaths. Africa has fared better than most of the world. Okay. Other than the parts, ironically, where you've gotten higher rates of vaccination. But for the most part, Africa has actually fared really well with COVID-19. Some people have attributed this to the fact that people in these countries regularly take things like hydroxychloroquine because you do have higher rates of malaria in these countries.
We'll give them that.
Hydroxychloroquine, of course, being an antiviral drug, people take it as a preventative against malaria.
But then if you take it to Jamaica,
has now been shown to be
some of the other places,
to a degree against COVID-19. It's not quite clear why you've had lower deaths in Africa. Some people attribute it to that. Some people attribute it to the fact that they have much lower vaccination rates. But the World Economic Forum now is saying something interesting, which is they're suggesting Africa basically needs to be ground zero for all the new preparations for the next global health crisis.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Africa needs to be ground zero. Why are they choosing Africa? Now, he's going to give you some more information on that. But before we do that, I want to say this. I said beforehand, they tried that mess here in the United States and abroad, some of the other countries, with people who look like me, right? They tried that. In America, a good portion of us were not going to have it because we'd already been through the experimental phase, and we were on the losing side of that. So many of us said, no, we're not playing your game, and we didn't. Okay, we chose not to. And again, some of our Gentile families came up and said, why is it about race? If you're going to give it out, it should be given out equally to everyone. Okay. And so many of the Gentiles stood up and said, well, wait a minute, you're making it about race. It shouldn't be about race. Well, then they tried to twist it and say, well, it's because we're having more issues with this race than others. They really need to have it. We weren't buying it. And I believe they had so much pushback here that they said, well, you know what, they backed off. That's my viewpoint on it, that they backed off because they were having so many issues with the compliance. Folks just rolling over and saying, give it to me. I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever you have to give. We weren't doing that. Okay. They did try targeting Africa. And again, those leaders stepped forward and said, no, we don't want to play either. And so plan A I don't think it went like they wanted it to. So with this plan B, now they are going to target, and specifically in this exercise, that's how they're rolling the exercise out. They're going to target Africa as ground zero. Okay. Now, let me say this. Where are a whole bunch of Father Yah's children? Family, please put in the chat if you know where I'm going with this. Where are a lot of Father Yah's, when I say children, I'm talking about the children of Israel. Even the folks over in the Middle East, over in that little land over there, have had to acknowledge that there are millions of folks in Africa who are the children of Israel. A large number. They already know that there's a large number here in America. They know that. Haiti, the islands. They already know that. We're really at the, as the Father said, four corners of the world. But for them to target Africa as as ground zero, this is terrible. This is terrible because they're putting their plan out there and they're saying we're going in this direction. It's genocide. It's genocide. That's what it is. It's genocide. So anyhow, there are 20 to 50 million Nigerian Igbo Israelites. Those folks over there want to call them JEWS. I'm going to call them what they are. They're Israelites. 20 to 50 million Nigerian Igbo Israelites. There are about 150,000 Limba Israelites over on that continent. There are also over 100,000 Ethiopian Israelites. And I know that sounds strange because most people would consider Ethiopians to be Hamites. Well, most of them are, but we have family over there as well. And there's over 100,000 of them on that continent. Okay. There are other children of Israel in the areas that are not nationally referred to as brown people, brown people like me. But still they are, okay? That are over in the Middle East. When you see images of the Middle East on purpose, they don't show you those that are walking around there with the locks in their hair like mine, or afros with the dark brown skin. You don't see those folks and see them as Middle Eastern because they try to keep them away from the cameras. So you don't know, but they're there. So we have thousands and thousands of the children of Israel at ground zero Africa, on that continent. So why have they, at this point in time, decided they want to target that area? They're coming after the children of Israel. That's what they're doing. They're coming after the children of Israel. There are huge numbers of the children of Yah on that continent. Yes, we are all over the world, but there's a whole bunch over there. They know what they're doing. They know who they're targeting. Now, here's the thing, to my Hamite, Gentile brothers and sisters that are out there. Unfortunately, you will be tagged in on this plan of the devil because many of them can't differentiate between you and us. All they see is that brown skin or dark brown skin or black skin or whatever you want to call it. That's what they're seeing. So they're not going to make a distinction. For the most part, they will go after those that say they are part of the nation of Israel, but they will accept any of them that are of the melanated shades just to make sure that they're covering their bases. So, my Gentile brothers and sisters, you're included in this. Even if you are Hamite, they're not going to see it that way. Okay, so you're included in this genocide. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Don't you find it interesting if they think that we're so stupid that we would not figure out and question, I wonder why Africa is ground zero. Why would they want to do that? Well, that's a good place to start, right? Why not, right? Why isn't Europe ground zero? Ireland, ground zero. Why? Why and why again? Because they know what they're doing. They know who they have over there. So we'll listen to a little bit more what he has to say.
Let me show you. They say this. They say this is a quote from Winnie Byanyima, the Undersecretary General of the UN and Executive Director of the Joint UN Program on HIV/AIDS during a session on racial equity on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. She said, racism is not only when Black people or brown people cannot breathe because of police violence. She's like, in the United Nations, she's talking about Africa, right? This isn't an American thing. She says this, racism is when Black people, brown people, people of color take their last breath because of policy violence. Now, I've never heard of policy violence before.
Now, don't you find it interesting that they brought in the happenings here in America to give them the go ahead for the things going that they're planning to do in Africa? The I can't breathe, meaning the police brutality and the murders that were happening here in the streets of America, and how they are tying that into the health care of Africa. How in the world are they've managed to find a way? And I just find it just so.
But they're saying the new problem is policy violence. And she says, when they are denied life-saving, pandemic-ending medicines. So if you're in Africa and you're unable to get the COVID-19 vaccine, they call that now racial violence.
Okay, racial violence. Now, let me ask you this. When has the continent of Africa been denied the fix? If anything, they've been trying to push the fix. So why is this an issue? Why is this an issue? Well, in this exercise, it's an issue. So they need to fix it, right?
Policy violence. And those who do not help get vaccinations to Africa are now guilty of policy violence.
That would be.
And she continues stating, when they can't access care or education because debt is choking them. Well, I have a big problem with debt also. I'm not personally in debt, but I tend to not like the the taxation systems in the West very much. And I think that the debt systems are terrible. So I agree to some extent with that. But I think, of course, the people proposing this, ironically, some of the biggest advocates of high taxation and debt. So I take it with a grain of salt coming from them. Further in what states, it says corporations are taking immediate steps to, and I'm going to go into why this matters in a sec, so hear me out, right? Corporations are taking immediate steps to end disparities. So why are businesses getting involved with this? Corporations are taking steps? It says during Davos, Pfizer, of course, which makes one of the vaccines, a strategic partner of the World Economic Forum, you getting that? Launched a, quote, an accord for a healthier world, offering all of its patent-protected medicines and vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccine, on a not-for-profit basis to 45 lower-income countries. It states,
Yay!
Leaders at Davos 2022 discussed how governments, corporations, and other stakeholders can collaborate to improve health equity, not equality, but equity, socialism, in other words. Equality of outcome, right? Where you force people into equality. If they're too rich, you make them poor. If they're poor, you make them a bit richer by stealing from the rich. Although I doubt the, frankly, wealthy millionaires and billionaires of this particular group are the ones who think they're going to get robbed through this, right? It's going to be other folks like the middle class.
Always.
So starting with preparing for the next pandemic, and it says, quote, investing in health systems and regional bodies like Africa CDC and African Medicines Agency must be a key priority, said Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda. And he said, quote, we have to act in the full expectation that there will be another pandemic. Now, why does that matter? Aside from just being concerning in terms of the way they're framing what a global health crisis is and redefining what racism is, on that note, they're basically redefining a global health crisis, not as like a virus spreading, not as like, COVID-19 or monkeypox. They're framing a global health crisis now as a racial crisis, as a crisis of inequality, of countries lacking socialism, in other words. They're basically framing the entire idea that if you don't have socialism, it may in fact be, a global health crisis. And they're also linking it to race.
Big time.
By linking it to race, they're basically using a actually, ironically, a very similar narrative to what the Nazis did. The sickness on the body politic. If you want to learn more about that, watch the interview I did with Dr. Aaron Kheriaty, where we talk in depth about this. That was recent interviews I did, which you can find on Epic TV. Claiming there's a sickness on the body politic, which requires an emergency order of some kind to essentially do things that they could not do under the normal constitution. In the case of the Nazis, that meant eliminating different unwanted groups from the body politic, Jews being among them, but others actually were included. They're doing the same thing in terms of claiming there's essentially a sickness on the body politic, racism being the problem they're pointing to, and inequality within that being the main cause of it. They're claiming, or not inequality, but lack of equity. Now, why does this really matter? Because this is in context of what just happened with the Biden administration giving a ton of money to Africa. And had you not known this background, I think it'd be harder to understand why they might be doing something like this, especially at a time when the United States is facing really serious financial problems.
Okay, that being said, America, he mentioned that the current president that's in office is participating or would be participating in this. Remember what the scripture says, that these nations were confederate against the children of Israel. They're actually targeting a specific nation of people. This, he doesn't say it because, see, not everyone is aware of the plan of the enemy. You guys have been privy to a lot of information that the whole world, a lot of folks in the world don't have access to. And not that I'm some great thing or anything like that, but remember what I said. I like to try to keep up with world events and how they relate to biblical times. We're in the end days. Because I know that we're in the end days, I have been trying my best to come to you and to talk to you about the things that are coming our way. Not only the tribulation, the destruction, the deaths, and all of those things that are headed our way, the famine, all of those things, it's all biblical. It's all biblical. But also what the world doesn't recognize is this, that God has a chosen people that he is going to redeem it at the end, okay? And that at the end, he will bring those chosen people along with the Gentiles that come along beside them, okay? He will bring them to safety. But the world is using and I have to say it this way, the Christian view of end times, which means that we're all that have made the statement of I believe are going to head into Zion and hold hands and sing kumbaya, and the church is Israel, and anyone who is John 3:16, and they're going with that, not realizing that there's a whole lot more to it than that. And I'll do another video to talk a little bit more on that subject. Yes, it is through Christ that we are saved. It's not necessarily our works, but you have to understand that it's through the punishment. It's through the children of Israel that the Gentiles even have the ability to go through that salvation. You can't have one without the other. It's important. And somebody I know is going to come on here and say, well, you don't need Israel to be saved, because I've heard you say that beforehand. But you have to understand the covenant. The covenant is not with the church. The covenant that the Father Yah has is with the children of Israel. And it's so important. It's so important that you guys understand that. It's vital that you understand that. The world doesn't understand it, and they're going to miss it. They're going to miss it. And when they miss it, they won't have an opportunity to get their hearts right, because many people have a certain way of feeling about the chosen people. They have a certain way of feeling, especially if they find out that what I've been saying is the truth. They're going to harden their hearts. The Bible says it. That's the same thing that the Pharaoh and his people did. They hardened their hearts. And Father Yah allowed it. And then you wonder, well, why is it only going to be a remnant of people that's going to be saved? If everybody is doing the John 3:16, saying that, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever should believe on him shall be saved. If that were the case, why is there only a remnant? Ask yourself that question. There's only a remnant because there's more to it than what the Christian church, the world out there, is telling you. You need to know that. You need to know who Israel is. You need to know who the children of Israel are. I pray you have ears to hear what I am saying, because it's so important. And this man is proving in his own way. He is proving that they have an agenda against the children of Yah. Why else would they target a specific race of people? Why would they target us? They have a plan. They're trying to eliminate the children of Israel. That's what this is all about. They've been trying to do it forever. They tried it with slavery. We're like baby's kids. We don't die, we multiply. And, that's a little funny, but it's a seriousness in that. They've been trying to destroy our ability to reproduce. I'm not lying. Look it up. They've been experimenting with us forever, and they're still doing it. At one time, I don't know it because I haven't looked at it currently, but at one time, melanin was 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 a price higher than gold on the markets. Yes, they're experimenting with us. They want to know what this melanin is all about, because this melanin, it saves. This melanin has some qualities to it that are almost miracle working, if you will. And on the market, it was worth more than gold. So they're still experimenting with us. This is not new. We are being targeted. And he is proving it. He's just one of many. I'm going to go ahead and let him finish.
Let me show you. Business Insider Africa. It says Biden administration has pledged $55 billion with a B to Africa over the next 3 years. Now, this is like Ukraine, Zelensky type donations. This is America giving away money when Americans are also not doing so well financially. This is the United States giving away money when the interest rates in America cost more than the annual defense budget, and they're spending more money beyond their means. This is like a person in debt who, basically can't make the month's rent, ordering 5 new credit cards and then maxing them all out. You don't spend money like that when you don't have the money to spend. They're doing that. The question then is, why are they doing it? Well, I put this in context of what we just discussed. It's part of the agenda. It's part of the global agenda. Let me show you what it says. It says, at the outgoing U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, this was just recently, actually, in Washington, President Joe Biden has declared that his country is all in on Africa's future. The U.S. president made the comments on Wednesday while addressing a conference of 49 African leaders, stating, when Africa succeeds, the United States succeeds. Quite frankly, the whole world succeeds as well. In addition to his comments, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the United States aims to help African countries achieve their own goals. And it says, according to Sullivan, the White House is pledging $55 billion in economic, health, and security support for Africa over the next 3 years. Sullivan declined to give details. We don't know what they're using the money for, actually, saying the White House would reveal them during the coming 3 days of bilateral, multilateral talks and a dinner hosted by Biden at the White House for his African counterparts. Further,
okay, so are you buying it? It's for economic development, for the health and well-being of those on that continent. Are you buying it? That's the reason why all of a sudden they want to just ship billions of dollars that we don't have, when we have folks that are homeless in the streets here in this country. We have folks that are hungry, going hungry here in this country. Are you buying it? That all of a sudden they have this humanitarian need to go and do good and do favors for this continent. Okay? And we're not supposed to see through this. We're not supposed to see through this craziness. Family, this is warning. They're coming for the children of Israel. But don't get worried, don't get concerned, don't be afraid. But they're coming for the children of Israel. We are close to the end. And the devil knows that he only has a certain amount of time. He is using the descendants of Japhet the Gentiles. He's using the descendants of Japheth, but even more so, Esau, Edom, knows the plan because they're behind it. And they're the ones that have fooled Japheth's descendants into believing they're part of the plan when they are also part of the targets. Not like we are, but after they're done with us, they're going to go after them. But see, that's their thought process, that after they're done with us, they're going to go after them. It won't happen because, see, they're not going to be successful with us. They're going to do as much as our Father Yah will allow them to do in these latter days. But do not be deceived into believing that they have your well-being in mind. Do not be deceived. This is the enemy. And I told you beforehand, you need to know what the enemy is up to. In order to fight against and beat the enemy, you need to know what your enemy is up to. You need to know how to defend yourself with this enemy. You need to see them when they're coming. When they come out with stuff like this, telling you that they're doing something for your own good, you need to be listening. And you need to be wise. And not fall for all this crazy stuff that they're going to come up with. Because they're doing it for your benefit. They're not doing anything for your benefit. What they want to do, as the scripture tells us, is they want to destroy the children of Israel. Now, for my Gentile brothers and sisters that are out there, you have sided with Father Yah. You have sided with Father Yah's chosen children. You have become heirs. You're no longer strangers. You have become heirs along with us. As we get targeted, I want you Gentiles to also understand you will be targeted as well, because you will be considered family of ours. And we need to be able to stick together. Is it any wonder that Psalm 91 was written? When you read through Psalm 91, you know it was written because we have a true enemy. We have a true enemy that wants to see us dead, that wants to destroy us, wipe us off of this planet. We have a true enemy. So family, when you go through and you're reading the scriptures and you're praying, you make sure that you read Psalm 91. You make sure that you pray that over your family. Okay? So I don't know if this is news to you guys, and this is the first time you're hearing all of this, but I wanted to share it with you because when I saw it, I heard this guy talking, and there is so much more that I can go over with this. Okay, there's so much more. But if you have eyes to see, you can see the direction that they're going in. And again, the time is short, family. The time is short. Get your food. I'm going to stop here, and I want you, please, take the time to listen to more of what this man has to say, because it's an eye-opener, okay? It's an eye-opener. And if you know more than he does, because you know who the children of Israel are, and you know really why they are targeting specific races, okay? You know more than they know. The world is still waking up, but trust me, the Father is working on waking up so many more. I believe within the next few months that there's going to be masses of people who will just all of a sudden just seem to get the light and understand, wow, I see now why you've been treated the way you've been treated all of these years. I see now why they don't want to put this in our history books and teach the kids these things. I see why now, because it's that we've dealt with the the colonialism, where they, colonized they colonized Africa. They colonized uh, uh, Haiti, and or tried to, and colonized the islands, and colonized the every area that we were at. Okay, they will begin to understand that the nations are truly confederate against us. They will begin to see things that they didn't see before. Not like they're new things or new events that will happen, but they will begin to look back at the things that they saw, and they saw with a different viewpoint, and they saw with a different eye. Many people are going to wake up, because this is the time for it. They're going to wake up and discover, wait a minute, we're in the end days. There is a people. The people have been said, and you just it makes sense. It makes sense. We have been told, the believers have been told to look for the Antichrist, because we've been told you don't want to take the mark of the beast, right? But what they don't say is this. They don't tell you to read the Bible. Read the Bible. Read the Bible like I'm telling you. Read the Bible. And they skip over the text that tells you that there is a people. Some of them are confederate, and they know the truth. Some of them know the truth, but they don't want you to know the truth. They know they are not the children of Israel. Everything points to it. There's history and there's documentation. We have receipts that prove that they are not those people over in that small little area. They are not the descendants that are spoken of in the scriptures. Okay? Not all of them. I'm not going to say all, but the majority of them do not believe in our Messiah, not like we do. And our own scripture tells us that there will be a people who will say that they are us, but they are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. Our own scripture tells us that, but we ignore those scriptures. And it's not in there just one time. Oh no. When the Most High repeats something, he wants you to hear it, because this is repeated in there. He gave you a hint when he talked to you, and he told you where they would be at. There's only a group of people that go to synagogues. That's in there for a reason. He wants us to know. The scripture tells us that anything that goes against our Christ, that doesn't believe that he died for us, that doesn't believe that he was buried, that he rose from the grave, and he's on the right hand of our Father right now, and he's petitioning for us. When our scripture tells us that if we run across someone who doesn't believe, they are anti-Christ, and they are of the devil. Don't line yourself up with them. They are anti-Christ. They have the spirit of of Satan in them. Am I saying all of them? No, I'm not. Okay? Because some of them have come into the truth. Some of them have come into the truth. But until they start speaking that truth and stop with the half lies, they're still acting like their father, the devil. Because again, he will tell the truth with lies. He mixes them together. Okay? So until they start telling the truth, the Father is not going to look kindly on them. He's not going to. They're going to have to tell the whole truth. Meaning, thank you, Annie P. Bless your heart. Thank you so much. But meaning that the whole truth is this: Stop saying that you are the bloodline and that we're brothers and sisters because you're part of the bloodline when you know you're not. You have been converted. Your ancestors converted to being a Israelite. You were converted. Until they admit that, then we cannot be brothers and sisters. Any Gentile that's out there that acknowledges that we are who we are, loves the Father, keeps the commandments, and does what they're supposed to do, just like we are supposed to do, they are my brothers and sisters. But if you come to us lying, you're not our brothers and sisters. You need to tell the truth. You know what the truth is. Where the time is the time is at hand. Christ is coming back. You don't want to be found wanting. You don't want him to come back. And you're still saying that your bloodline goes all the way back to Abraham when it doesn't. That you are, well, it may go back to Abraham, but it doesn't go back to Jacob, Israel, okay? Because some folks can be Hebrew, some folks can be descendants, but they're not Israel. And we're talking about Israel. Israel are the chosen people, Israel. So if you don't have Jacob Israel as your ancestor, then you pretty much a convert. Admit it. Just say, I'm a convert. Love you guys. Love you people. Love you guys. I'm coming on board. I want to be family. Guess what? You become a brother, you become a sister. But the lies are going to stop. The Most High is going to see to it. This awakening that's going on is not something that Black people have woke up one day and said, oh, let's do this thing. No, the Most High Yah is behind it all. He's behind it all. He's determining who's going to wake up and who's not going to. It's based on your heart. If he wakes you up and he says, you know what Mary C is saying is the truth, believe her. And you harden your heart. You hear me again, and you hear me say that we're Israel. And he says, you know what Mary C is saying is the truth. You need to listen to her. And you harden your heart. He's going to give you over to that. Your heart will become hard, and you will not turn. You will not change. You will not go into Zion with us. It's as simple as that. It's more than just reciting John 3:16. It has a lot to do with the covenant people, and I don't know how else to explain that. So don't come at me. Don't come at me saying that Mary C is saying nobody can be saved unless they blah, 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 blah. No, I'm saying salvation comes through Christ. Salvation comes through Christ. Christ is a descendant. He's an Israelite. So again, your salvation is through Israel. Right? There are 12 gates that we will go into. With who? The 12 tribes. That means that if you are a Gentile, you will come alongside of one of those tribes. One of those 12 tribes you will come alongside of. Outside of the gates will be the dogs and the sinners. If you want to go out there and be with the dogs and the sinners, have at it. But if you want to go in through those 12 gates, you got to go through one of the families. Who is it you're going to go through? It's got to be one of the 12. You need Israel. There's a reason why it says in there that if you bless Israel, you will be blessed. But if you curse Israel, you will be cursed. You know, the Father doesn't speak just to hear himself speak. You know, that's something that we adults say to our kids. You know, I'm not speaking just to hear myself speak. I'm speaking so that you will understand what it is that I want you to know. Right? So the Father didn't put those words in the Bible just for us to just read through and say, oh, la, 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 la. He really didn't mean it. He meant it. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you curse Israel, you will be cursed. Israel should be a light. Look around you at the people. Israel should be a light. When you think of those folks that are over there in that little bitty land, think about it. Their number one thing over there right now is that they're proud of is they have this pride parade that they do every year. Largest number of folks that are gay, lesbian over in that area, in that land. What does the Bible say about that lifestyle? How can that be the holy land? How? How can they be the chosen ones? Are they bringing people in by the hundreds right now? Look at Israel. Israel right now standing up, and they're preaching, they're teaching, they're spreading the word, they're spreading the gospel. They are being a light. They're being the salt of the earth. They're that light on the hilltop. They're preaching. They're telling you who they are. They're telling you what's going to happen at the end. They're telling you to get yourself together. They're telling you that the door is getting ready to close. They're telling you, get your life together because Christ is coming back soon. That's what true Israel is doing right now. And if you're not seeing that, if you're seeing what the powers that be and those that are hating on the children of Israel, if you're only seeing the few that are on the street corners cussing folks out, and you're saying that that's who they are, then that's on you, because you see me before you, and I'm not doing that. I've not done that, and I will not do that. You see me talking love. The majority of us, now in every group, there's a cuckoo. In every group, there's a cuckoo. And I'm not saying everybody that's on the street corner is a cuckoo. But you know them by the fruit that they bear. If they're out there speaking love, if they're out there telling you the truth and speaking it, like I said, in love, not teaching hate, not racism, not anything like that. That's not of God. That's not of Father Yah. You will know us. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spreading that light. We're going to tell you about the Father. You may hear some things from us that you may not want to hear, but we'll tell you the truth. That's true Israel. How many folks are getting the word from over in that little area? How many folks are shedding the light of the Most High Yah from that little area? How many are preaching the gospel, are telling you that if you don't get your life together, you're going to hell? That the devil is real. And that the judgment is here. And that the Father, Yah, is just. Who has and has for centuries, even in the junk that we've had to go through, who has had the utmost respect for the most high. We have always been called a religious people. We're not religious, we're spiritual. But we've always been called, even when we have had the worst of the worst happen to us, we cry out, Abba, Father. When we have had the worst of the worst happen to us, from generation to generation, we have carried on the belief and the faith that we would be redeemed, the belief and the faith that no matter what we went through, we still had a Savior, the belief and throughout the centuries, we've done this. We've always done this. They've always been able to say this about our people. Am I saying that our people are perfect? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that you can tell the tree by the fruit it bears. If you want to know who true Israel is, check out the fruit. Just check out the fruit. I don't see any good fruit from that area. Preaching the gospel, bringing in the saints. I don't see it happening. They're fighting over there. There should be peace. When we are gathered together, and the Most High said he would do the gathering, we're not to be relying on a bunch of countries to determine where that promised land is. That's up to the Most High. But yet we have a group of people in a land that says that that's the Holy Land. And we bought it hook, line, and sinker. Question everything and don't trust anyone. Get your information from the Most High. Pray about it. He will lead you in the areas that you need to go into research so that the truth is just that, the truth, and it cannot be denied. I have probably thousands of books. And all of these people cannot be telling a lie. They can't. The Bible tells us that when you have 2 to 3 witnesses, you need 2 to 3 witnesses to prove a matter. And you should live with that. You should live by that. That's wise. We have receipts. We know who we are. They have a plan. They have an agenda. They're coming after you. Be ready. Be ready. Because if it's left up to them, the Black Death would be on their agenda. It's not happening. The Most High is not, he's not going to go with that. No. So don't fear. Excuse me. Don't fear. And then, like I said, in your prayer, Psalm 91 is a good one. Okay, I was just reading through. I told you I wasn't going to go through the chat, family, and I didn't. And I appreciate you all coming out and spending some time with me. When you get an opportunity, please, please, please go over. I'm going to put it back in the chat one more time and listen to the rest of what this young man has to say about the predictive programming, if you will. Okay. We're covered. We're covered. But you need to know what the enemy is up to. And Mary C just wanted to come out and make sure that she shared this with you. All right. So family, I love you. I'm going to call it quits here. I appreciate again you guys coming out. I appreciate the love gift that came through as well. You guys go out the rest of this evening. Be blessed. If you have not, if you stop prepping, I'm going to ask you why. Get back on. Get to it. You're going to need that stuff. And if you don't need it, somebody else will. So prep, and prep again. Plan, family. Plan for what's coming. We got some bumpy roads ahead of us. And I want you guys to be ready for it. We got some rough roads ahead. All right? But you're not defeated people. You know, we have the victory. Hallelujah. We have the victory. So no matter how many plans and programs that they come up with to try to genocide us, they can do no more than the Most High allows them to do. And he's not having it. He's not having the total destruction of the children of Israel. He's not having it. Because we've read the back of the book, we've read the end, we know how it ends. And we know that salvation awaits us, redemption awaits us, a life of goodness with the Most High, with the King, the soon coming Messiah. We have a good life ahead of us. We do. I want you to believe that. Stand on it because it's been promised. Okay? So stay under the shadow. Who says that? Move forward. Stay under the shadow of the Most High. and be blessed, family. I love you so very much. I really do. And you know this, the Most High, He loves you so much more. Shalom, family.